I love it. Thank you for hanging out with me today and sitting down and talking a little bit. And that is a badass chair.
Thank you.
We got like a cool round one that we get in, but I don't think I could put it here.
I'm like, yeah, your background's a bit cooler. I have all of the furniture that Rich gave me. So I keep his chair wrapped up, though. I don't sit in his chair.
I didn't know he had a chair.
Oh, yes. He had his red and gold throne. I keep it wrapped up.
Oh, you got to send me a picture of that.
Oh, I will.
So we're in quarantine. We've been here for a while. You've kept in great shape. So you got a connection to a gym. What are you doing?
So I, right before they started making things a little crazy with ordering things on Amazon, right when I heard they were going to put us in quarantine, I was like, I got to buy a treadmill. Because if we're not allowed to go outside or they put more restrictions on that, I'm like, I got to at least keep up on my cardio and buy weights. So I think I was like the person that bought the last 5 and 10 pound weights on Amazon and the last treadmill that went out the same week. So sorry to everybody else, but thank you, Amazon.
They shut that down pretty quickly.
Yep.
Because everybody started going, it seemed like, I was lucky enough, I have a home gym, but people I work with or training partners were all like, they jumped on it just a few days too late and couldn't get anything. That thing.
Well, yeah, and then there's people on eBay that are trying to sell like really old, crappy, rusty weights for like $200 a set. I was like, what?
Upping everybody on that.
Yeah. People are price gouging left and right in all kinds of strange places.
And then we got, this is the craziest thing I've ever lived through for us here, besides 9/11. With nutrition, did you change up nutrition at all when it came to, because you're doing your cardio, that's easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
Doing weights. So did you lower your calories because you weren't weightlifting as well?
I have definitely cut back on how much I eat per day. I'm on the keto diet. So
Okay.
I'm like all about the fats, man. But I have definitely tried to watch how much fat I'm taking in and how many meals I'm eating. And I have a little bit of like a eating thing, like a comfort food, and ice cream was like Rich and Nice thing. So it's like, I've kind of been like binging on Ben and Jerry's periodically, but I'm only eating half of a pint instead of an entire pint in one sitting. So
You got that willpower. I don't have that.
if I had real willpower, I wouldn't be eating it at all. But I get my butt back on the freaking treadmill, so I do cardio twice a day so that ice cream doesn't sit on me too bad. Because you're really not supposed to have that when you're doing like real keto.
Right, because how it plays with carbohydrates at that level. When did you switch over? When did that hit you and you go, I'm going to do this?
So when I was, oh gosh, how old was I? I think it was about 19, almost 20. I was really heavy. Like for me, I was really heavy, like 170 something. And I wanted to be a model, and this photographer, like really long story short, like was shooting me. And I was like, why are you shooting this other girl more than me? We're paying you the same amount. He came up and grabbed me by the fat of my stomach and shook it and was like, this is disgusting. I'm done shooting you. So I went on a diet the next day, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, maybe I should cut out the crap, like stop eating stuff that doesn't seem like it would be good for me. And just like logically, I stopped eating pasta, bread, potatoes, rice. I was eating stuff wrapped in lettuce, lots of salads, and I would only allow myself ice cream once a week. That was my treat, or a bowl of cereal. And I lost 50 pounds in 3 months. So I just kind of stuck to that. And then years later, I met Rich, and he's like, have you always been on a keto diet? I'm like, what the hell is a keto diet, dude? So he actually looked at me like, you're on like a specific thing. I was like, oh, I was just kind of doing whatever was working for my body. And I've done more and more research, and I've really wanted to stick to this because my dad is diabetic. I've got history of pancreatic cancer in my family. And doctors are starting to come out with more evidence that carbs are basically what feed cancer and like really can make you become diabetic. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try to avoid that altogether and just stick to keto. It's safer for me, I think.
You have a bigger reason too. You got that family history.
Yeah.
People ask me about what I do for my skin, and it's like, well, I have sunblock, and I have since I was 12, 11, 12, 13 years old. And people go, well, you must take great care of your skin now. Everybody's about now. This is what you do now, right? No, it's what I've done my whole life. And it's the same kind of principles that you had, is that we're very prone to skin cancer in our family. Mm-hmm. And so it's just one of those things. Mom said, put on sunblock, and I actually did it. And I just did it through my life, which has helped me have youthful skin at 170 years old. So it works out all right. But it changes things when it's a family.
Yeah.
And you look at what's going on with your family relative to how you should diet for you and what your possibilities of staying safe and what's right for your body. And then also, it's interesting that you found out at such a young age. Because from what I've seen, you don't have any of the issues because you corrected this at such a young age with loose skin.
Yeah, I don't so much have the loose skin issue. Like there's a little bit right underneath my belly button that I'm kind of like, oh, what the hell is that? But it's more that I have stretch marks and cellulite. So I'm like, well, you know, it's just genetically my family's very white. My dad is like 100% Dutch. My mom is Dutch, Irish, English, German, American Indian. So our skin's just not gonna sit there and like bounce back. So I do have to deal with that, but I'm like, whatever. Like tiger earns their stripes. I've got mine, whatever, you know, I'll work with it. I'll take it.
So when Rich discovered that you were doing this keto diet, did he try to change it?
Oh my God. Yeah. He tried to make me do like the cycling diet where you like have like low carb and high carb stuff. And he was like yelling at me like, oh my God, you're not following my regimen. You're not doing the plan. What are you eating that you're not supposed to be eating? I'm like, I promise. I'm eating everything I'm supposed to be eating. I'm doing my cardio and everything. He's like, you're blowing up like a balloon. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to eat carbs, man. They're not my friend. I don't even like rice and stuff. So I don't miss it. So I'm just like, can I just go back? He's like, yeah, just go back to eating the way you were eating. You looked much better. So just stick with that.
That's a tough one to do for your partner in crime to train you and do the nutrition.
Yeah.
My girl's pretty easy about that. She can eat carbs.
She looks amazing.
She's a little freak, right? Makes me jealous. But she's always ate carbs, you know, being European, she grew up on just meats and carbs, but she's like you in a sense that there's things that she doesn't like you don't like rice and breads and stuff. For her, she doesn't like sweets. So she doesn't really cheat in that sense.
That's my downfall.
Sweets, I love sweets.
Alternatives. I get creative.
Give me some tips, because I'd love some tips on creative.
So I'll take almonds or cashews. I put them in like a Ziploc bag and I spray the coconut oil cooking spray from like Trader Joe's in the bag and I make sure all the nuts are coated. Then I drop in some unsweetened cocoa powder and a packet of stevia and it's like the, you know, the shake and bake chicken. I do the same thing with my nuts and that way I have like kind of chocolate coated nuts to eat all day long when I'm like, oh my gosh, I need like my sweets.
Oh my gosh, that does sound good. I know Legendary does some stuff. I know you know Bruce.
Oh my God, yeah. And Legendary is like, if I showed you my pantry right now, like there's an entire shelf dedicated to Legendary. I swear by their nuts and their nut butters and stuff. Like I'm like, dude, I need to get more travel packets. So I have tons of travel packet size stuff and then tons of jars of nothing but nut butter. And I'll sit there and I'll eat it by the spoonful. Like if I want ice cream one night, I'll take out a spoonful of like the pecan flavored butter. And I'll put like the pecan flavored butter in a bowl. So it's almost like ice cream and I keep it in the fridge so that it's cold. So like there's other tips and tricks you can do to like get around eating like actual sweets. So
there's so many, and I agree with you because Bruce lives next to us. I'm like,
don't tell me that. I'm going to ask this, convince you guys all the time. So I'm like, excuse me, can I get some more Legendary and Quest, please?
We'll get a knock at the door and we're thinking like it's the Amazon people or something. And we check the door later or whatever it is. And there's just a package of stuff for us and the pups because we got him, he got us
the keto
food, which is keto for dogs.
Yep.
Which is actually, I know it's off subject, but it's tremendously helped. We have a big girl. She's called a woolly husky. And I thought there was only one breed of huskies. I didn't know there was tons. So she's like a thick me for a dog. And yeah, she's lost a couple pounds, even being a woolly husky, and the food's great for it. So if anybody's out there that's into foods for their dogs and want to be healthy, the Visionary, and we'll put a link up here too for you guys. And Bruce, I know that I've seen Bruce hook you up as well. So it's like, he's just the best.
He's one of the nicest people I think I've ever met, especially in the fitness community. That's been a strange roller coaster.
Ooh, we'll go into that, but I agree with you. And also I'd like to know what how he is everywhere. I think there's like 3 of him.
Yeah. He like, So the craziest thing is I was staying at the Hollywood Roosevelt, I don't know, like a couple months ago. And I was like, hey man, I'm trying to find some of those like travel packets of like legendary butter. And I can't find any at like the vitamin shop out here or whatever. Do you know where I can get some? Like I'm seriously asking where I can get them. Don't hook me up. That's not what I'm asking for. He was all the way in Vegas at the time, I think. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. Like hours later, he goes, here you go. And like sends a picture from the front desk of the Hollywood Roosevelt. And as I'm pulling up, I see his Quest truck. And I was like, dude, I'm taking you to dinner. So I like walked him down to Hooters. We scarfed on some wings and had like a killer conversation. Like he's the nicest dude. Anytime I'm all, hey dude, are you nearby? I need to know like where I can get some more of the stuff. He always like hooks me up. It's like, I hate to make the comparison, but it's like having the really good like plug for for like keto snacks. He brought me some, like staying in Vegas a while ago at some other random hotel because I was out there for a photo shoot, and he brought some to the freaking front desk. And I was like, I'm not asking you to like always bring me stuff. Just like tell me where I can find it, because not all the stores carry it or they're sold out. It's really
This could be a whole plug for him. The thing with me, I've never been to an event where he's not there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. I could be, it could be in Texas, or I could be overseas, or wherever it is. He's there. It's like,
yeah.
Well, why do I expect anything different now? He's like, I swear there's like 3 of him. He's everywhere. You said something earlier, which is interesting. And for the viewers, I know the old school mentality. I'm an OG, so I come from a completely different mindset of how health and fitness was. I came from the 80s and 90s of health and fitness, where it was everybody was a family that lifted, because it was like an iron family. It was respect. Everybody motivated everybody else. It was a much smaller culture, I guess you would say. But even though it was the biggest thing in the late 80s, everything was about weightlifting and stuff. The movies, everything. Stallone, Arnold, John Travolta, Staying Alive. It was health and fitness. And it was a fun friendship kind of a thing. And you said something now that's in the health and fitness world, it's hard to find a nice guy. You kind of referenced, and I agree with you. It's an interesting thing that we live in right now with social media, and maybe that added to it, or just the amount of people now that are into health and fitness, but it's more of a battle. Or it's more of a narcissistic kind of I'm better than you attitude.
Absolutely.
Go further than that.
So the way I feel that I have been treated is, it's like, of course, being with Rich, everybody knows, oh, well, Chanel's just Rich's girlfriend. Okay, cool. I'll take that. Like, that's not the worst fucking title in the world. But at the same time, I'm looked at as being less than because I've never competed and I don't have my pro card and I don't have a 6-pack. And I'm like, okay, well, girl, I also lost 50 pounds on my own. How about you, girl? Like, you had like good genetics to start with. You got a coach. You have money to blow on, you know, your drugs you need to take, your suit you need to wear, your special shoes, your posing routine. Good for you. Not everybody has the money to burn on that. And not everybody wants to do that. That doesn't mean that you're better than me or that I'm better than you. Like, we're all supposed to be in this together. We're all supposed to have that one goal of like taking care of yourself, but not being a dick. So I just feel like a lot of people, especially because of social media, they blow smoke up their own butt. They think that they are the cat's pajamas just because they've competed in a show or they did this or they did that. Like, that's great. Those are great accolades. They're great accomplishments. Good for you. I fully support that, but that doesn't make you better than me. It means that you had a different goal than me. I just simply want to look in the mirror and be happy with how I look and not be down on myself. And I want to spread that message to other people instead of going, well, you mean nothing if you don't have a pro card. You're not accomplished if you aren't a pro, or if you didn't compete, you're not an athlete. You still have to like have some determination to lose 50 pounds or 60 pounds. Or I've met people who've lost 100 pounds. They don't ever want to compete, but they want to continue to spread that positivity of like, hey, if I can do it, you can do it. You can get in good shape. You can take care of yourself. It doesn't mean that you're the only person taking care of yourself if you've got a pro card or a trophy or you got on stage. It means that you want to take it to that level. So that's, I think, where it's hard for me.
I've always noticed this about you. To me, again, I know you because of Rich and stuff, because he and I we both won the Mr. California a year apart from each other, and we both were in this battle together. And something I loved about him is and that I got through my career is people judge on how they look. And then the individual himself could be completely different. And I think from my side, I've heard, oh, he looks like this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, it's one of the nicest, humblest, deep people you'll ever meet. And so he and I connected on a different level, but I see that people like him or myself or others around me have strong individual partners. And that's how I look at you. And I've always looked at you as very strong.
Well, thanks.
You don't take a lot of, you say how things are. And have you always been that way? You always just like, this is how it is?
Yeah, pretty much.
You don't try to appease people, I guess I'm trying to say.
No, I never have. I mean, like, even growing up, I was very odd. I would wear like really weird clothes to school. Like one day I'd be dressed like a hippie. The next day I'd be wearing like seriously like a poodle skirt and like 50s glasses, like something straight out of Greece. Every day was Halloween for me in junior high because I was just like, man, I don't want to be like everybody else. I want to have fun. And I like weird clothes. Just go with it, you know? In high school, I was pretty outspoken. I got picked on a lot though. I had really bad acne growing up. I had to be put on Accutane, which made me gain a bunch of weight. And I was like,
Good old Accutane. That saved me.
Horrible. But I looked like dog shit and I didn't know how to take care of myself or eat properly. And then with being on Accutane, you're on a really strict diet. So it's like, I was just picked on for everything. And with that, it made me go, yo, who are you to judge? So I started standing up for myself verbally in high school. And even after that, with being an adult, I'm like, I'm not going to let people walk all over me. That's not how this works. I'm not a jerk and you're supposed to treat others as you wish to be treated. Well, I'm not treating you poorly, so don't treat me like garbage. So I've always been very much like, this is how it is. But you're talking about Bruce. Bruce always gives me a hard time about like how I put people on blast. He's like, oh man, I was afraid that I did something wrong. I saw something else this day that it was like kind of in reference to something that I said to you. I'm like, Bruce, you're the last motherfucker I'm worried about. You're fine, sweetheart, don't worry. But I am very boisterous about people being mistreated, whether it's me or someone else. Like, I don't stand for it. There is absolutely no rhyme or reason to mistreat someone, especially a stranger.
Yeah, then it goes back to the health and fitness world, how they look over. I think how you grew up, that's the character builder. You didn't grow up cookie cutter. You weren't the same as everybody else. And so you get the tease and you get the chip on the shoulder. And I got a chip on the shoulder from being a kid and getting, I couldn't read or write. So it's that same chip on the shoulder that I actually, and I'm curious about it, if you feel this way. As a kid, I thought dyslexia was the worst thing in the world. As an adult, I think it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Because it showed me a different way to think, a different way to live, a different way to be. And then also how people are. And it's like who you become with those, I don't want to say handicaps, but those setbacks. You become something even so much more instead of just the easy world. Oh, you grew up great. You great, good. Everything's fine. You got no character. You don't find yourself because you find yourself in pain. That you find who you are when you're in the depths, when you're hurt, or you're crushed, you're brokenhearted. Someone passes or something in that sense. That's who you find out who you are. It's not when you're doing great and life's good and you got money and everybody loves you. You're not even thinking about growing as a person in those stages. But you're thinking of everything, for at least me, when you're getting teased or in any sense in those depths. And so I think it's great that you turned out the way you did, because I know a lot of people that get chips can go the other way. They could be the bullies, or they could be the meaner person when they got older and go, well, I have a right to be this way. I got this, that, and the other thing when I was a kid. You don't got that. It's supposed to make you better, not worse. Most better, not bitter, I guess you would say.
I completely agree.
So I think you turned out pretty badass. And that's why I definitely always wanted to talk to you and stuff. And also because I never really got to talk to you when we were always around each other because we were at events or whatever it was, and it's craziness. So it's nice to be able to just chat with you a few times. And we've talked before this a few times, and I've always felt the same way. Much respect, because I could always tell that there was more depth to you than the average, I guess, influencer, health and fitness person, or whatever we are calling ourselves today.
Right. There's like such an echelon of names that we get to be referred to as. But I
Yeah.
mean, I appreciate your kind words, but it's not unheard of that someone says something like that about me. Like I would be at expos with Rich and girls would come up and, can I take a picture with you? Oh yeah, sure. And I would sit there and I'd talk to them for like 20, 30 minutes. And they're like, oh my God, you're so nice. And I was like, what? They're like, you're not what I was expecting. I'm like, what the hell were you expecting? Like, well, I kind of thought you would be bitchy. I'm like, why? And they're like, you're really pretty. I'm like, oh no, I had my struggle. This is just money. Like I've seen the meme of one of the Jenner girls. It's like, honey, you're not ugly. You're just broke. Yeah. That's pretty much the truth. I've had some shit done, but I still had to work on myself. So a lot of people like to still talk trash, like one way or the other. Either you don't take care of yourself enough and they're going to talk trash, or you make some changes, you spend a little bit of money to fix things that kind of went haywire when you did your transformation, and they talk shit either way. But it's like, well, that's hence my shirt, fake parts, real heart. You can go out and get all the plastic parts you want. If you are awful on the inside, it's not going to matter how good you look on the outside. You're an awful person. And if you were magically born naturally amazing, if you're a douche canoe, people are going to know and they're not going to like you. It really resonates outward. So I appreciate your kind words, but I definitely take pride in the fact that I haven't become some sort of entitled jerk